Good, everybody. Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB, and more specifically, an episode of Let's Talk Dynasty. Today, we're going to be talking about the AFC South for Dynasty Fantasy Football. We've already gone through 3 divisions up to this point, got 4 more to go after today's episode, so make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. That way, you don't miss any of these for Dynasty Fantasy Football purposes, because we're trying to cover as many people as possible in as quickly of a time as possible, hopefully hour-long episodes, each of these for you guys. But as this is an episode of Let's Talk Dynasty, it would not be that without my co-host MFGDs. So let's get him into the building and let's start talking about the AFC South. How we doing?
We doing good, you know it.
Dude, I felt like I was tripping over the words trying to get into this one for some reason. I don't know, we're good. Maybe it's just I was wearing the Jaguars jersey and maybe that's why I fell off my game.
Yeah, that's probably it. You know, Jaguars do that.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt a little off. We just watched a preseason game where Trevor Lawrence was throwing some hospital balls to BTJ. But let's just hop into the AFC South, man. We got a lot of teams to talk about, trying to do it in an hour time. The first team we can talk about here today is going to be the Tennessee Titans. Now, looking at the Tennessee Titans, this is a team that has a projected win total of 5.5 games. Last year, they went 6-11, 4th place in the AFC South. No coaching changes for this team. They lost Nick Westbrook-Akine and Treylon Burks this offseason, if those even matter. And then they added Cam Ward, Tyler Lockett, Alec Iomanner, Shamir DK, Xavier Restrepo, Gunnar Helm, and Khalil Mullings, all in free agency and the NFL draft. So lots of names added to this roster. Young talent in the NFL draft. Now, looking at the top 250 for Superflex ADP, we're looking at a list here of Cam Ward, Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, Alec Iomanner, Chigozie Okonkwo, and Xavier Restrepo. This may be, just looking at this list, this may be the team with the most unique names in the NFL, by the way. There's just crazy names all across the board. But I'm looking at these fantasy football options, and let's be honest, there's not a ton that we're super excited about. Where do you want to start the conversation here?
Let's start the conversation. Well, I guess we'll start the running backs just to go ahead and just get them out the way.
Back to back in ADP, pretty much.
Yeah, there's nothing special about this running back group, and one of them's injured now. So yeah, not the Tony Pollard. To me, I don't know where you have Tony Pollard ranked, but to me, he's a flex running back. I don't think I'll even be comfortable him as like my running back too. That's just how I see him. And Tajay Spears, I think they've proven last season that like even if they're both healthy, they're not really gonna give Tajay Spears that much work. So I'm kind of just out on him altogether, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think Pollard for me is more of a volume guy. I think he's fine for a contender as an RB2 or a flex running back like RB3. He's fine. Spears, he should be ready for week 1 is what they're saying. It's a high ankle sprain is what I just read when we were on our little break from recording that last episode. But it just feels like this is a committee and an offense that we are not expecting to be very effective, at least this year. I don't know how you feel about Cam Ward. I think he's fine. I don't expect him to be, lighting the world on fire as a rookie. That said, Pollard is fine as a contender, volume guy. But other than that, it is what it is. I think Spears should be viewed kind of how like Jaylen Warren is viewed, I think, or maybe even a guy like less than a guy like Jordan Mason, but similar. Worse offense.
I think that's a good compliment you gave him, because I don't even see him as a Jaylen Warren level type of guy. No, let me take that back. I do see him as a Jaylen Warren level type of guy or higher. I just have zero confidence now that the Titans will ever give him the opportunity to prove that he's anything more, because we were both high on Tajay Spears at one point, and
Yeah,
now
he
like
was,
I'm just
you deemed him my son at one point.
yeah, I wouldn't even disrespect you like that now, because now I've come to the conclusion that Tajay Spears, he's never gonna get his shot, man. And we thought at one point that they brought in Tony Pollard to eventually back up Tajay Spears, and I just don't think that's the case anymore.
Yeah, it's not ideal. But looking at the wide receiver room, Calvin Ridley, outside of the top 50 wide receivers, as the wide receiver 1 for Cam Ward, feels like there's definitely some room for him to improve upon that value. Outside of that, though, like Alec Iomanner, Xavier Restrepo, Shamir DK is not even on the list, and he was drafted higher than Restrepo. Obviously, Restrepo was not drafted. And then you have Tyler Lockett here as well. I mean, how are you projecting the wide receiver room behind Ridley, and then how do you feel about Ridley? this year.
Behind Ridley, honestly, most of these guys are, to me, all these guys are pretty much like guys that, in order for me to see true value in them, they will have to already have like had that explosive game and like get that waiver wire ad type of situation. But right now, I just don't really see anything from. It's like a who's who of nobody. So it's like, I really don't see anything. Tyler Lockett, he's more than likely washed. Shamir Dike, I have like one share of him. I'm just like, I don't look at him any different than Alec Iomena and Xavier Restrepo. I don't look at him any different than them. It's like, okay, if one of them pop off, cool. But if not, then it's not like I'm hinging the entire future on either of these guys. Like, they're like all competing to be the next Westbrook Akine, which, wasn't all that great of a job to begin with. And then you have Calvin Ridley, who I'm higher on than most. I do think Calvin Ridley is way higher than a top 51 wide receiver. I don't know where this thing comes from. Because when you look at Calvin Ridley, like, I have a share of him and his numbers are fine. Like, I don't understand where people got to the point where they were just like, treating him like he's, like a trash asset. Like, let's see, Calvin Ridley, what was Calvin Ridley looking like last season? Calvin Ridley was like, okay, he was like the 28th wide receiver last season. So now for some reason he's going to drop like all the way down to 51. Like, and I don't even think that 28, that rank of 28 is even indicative of who or how good he can be. Like, you try being a fucking top 20 wide receiver with Mayonnaise Boy as your fucking quarterback. So, I mean, you try to go out there and do it. So we'll see if Cam Ward is like what a lot of people are saying that he can be, which I do feel like the world in general is like a little bit too high on Cam Ward, which is no fault of Cam Ward, but it doesn't seem like the media or like a lot of the fans are going to even give him time to develop. It seems like they want him to be good right now. But he can't be any worse than Mayonnaise Boy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Dynasty community is a little bit higher on Cam Ward, and I think part of that, just my theory, not saying that it's 100% accurate, but my theory is the fact that it was a weak quarterback class, so like the few guys that we actually have traits that we like, we're just overly confident in them, and I think that's kind of the thing with Cam Ward. I mean, obviously, he's the only quarterback that even went in the top like 20 picks, so
yeah.
I think people are just a little bit excited because he's the only guy, right? So he's the only guy to be excited about. I looked at my redraft ranking for Calvin Ridley this year. I'm probably even a tiny bit lower than the community is in redraft single season format type of range, but I have him as my wide receiver 32 in my rankings. So, just looking at his wide receiver 51 rank in Dynasty, if he performs as a top 32 redraft wide receiver, that would put him in the same tier as, I have Chris Olave in that tier and I have Travis Hunter in that tier, by the way. So that kind of tells you the production that I view those players getting. There's definitely some room for some value insulation on Calvin Ridley. Good buy, low target if you think that Cam Ward is legit. If you think the offense is going to improve with Cam Ward under center, Calvin Ridley can be fine. And I think he's a player that you could play as a wide receiver 3 or a flex play most weeks and be fine with it. And then there's going to be spike weeks where he gives you, wide receiver 2 numbers. But outside of that, there's not a lot of established names. We talked about all the low end wide receivers here that are kind of just taxi dart throws that pick your flavor here and put them on your taxi squad and see what happens.
Yeah.
Cam Ward, we've touched on him slightly. I think we're a little bullish on Cam Ward currently. Our last episode, we were talking about him in a tier with like Penix and JJ McCarthy and some of these other guys. I think I would take him behind those players, but what do you think about Cam Ward?
I think, like I said, I think Cam Ward, I don't think he's going to be where the media and the fan, because the thing is, I hear a lot of the media saying like, oh yeah, Cam Ward, he has all the tools and, Cam Ward this, Cam Ward that. And I think a lot of that is like because of where he got drafted, and as a fan of a team that did the same thing last season, it's kind of just like let the kid grow.
Yeah.
Like right now I feel like quarterback 16, QB 16 is too high of an expectation for him going into year one. I think that's way too high for him, and I think what it's going to lead to is when it comes down to him actually performing and not living up to that ranking, then you're going to get the whole community saying, oh, he's a bust, he sucks, this, that, and he just needs development. That's all. I think fans and media are jaded a lot. I think they're jaded. They've seen CJ Stroud come in as a rookie, dominate. They've seen Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix come in last season, dominate. And it's like now they want all these guys to dominate as soon as they get to the league, and they're viewing him the same. And then if you don't do it, everyone is saying that you're a bust. Like, and it's not fair to the player because these players all say that they don't listen, but they do. And so when all these voices are saying you're a bust, you could respond to it two ways. Either you can go out there and use it as motivation, but some of these guys actually let it get to them and it affects their performance. So where do I think he's going to rank? I think he's going to be more closer to like in between quarterback 25 and 30, somewhere in that range. And I think that's fine. That's my whole point. Is I think that's fine for him to be there because 16 just feels too high.
Would you rather go drafting a dynasty team right now? Would you rather take Cam Ward or Bryce Young?
That's tough, man. That's tough because I feel like Bryce Young is a victim of the same thing,
Yeah,
except
right.
Bryce Young coming out of the other end of it at this point, and Cam Ward's not. They're both young guys. Honestly, I feel better about the future of Bryce Young than I do Cam Ward.
I liked Bryce Young more as a prospect than I liked Cam Ward, and I like his supporting cast and his coach more than Cam Ward's supporting cast and coach. I think for me, It comes down to those variables. I don't hear what I'm not saying, to use my popular phrase that I always say. It's just, I don't think Cam Ward's a bad player. He was my QB1 in the class. Let's just be real. It's just not a great class of quarterback play. And I'm not sold on Brian Callahan being a good play caller. I'm not sold on him being a good NFL coach. I'm not sold on this supporting cast at all. Like Calvin Ridley, we said he could be a value, but I don't think either of us think Calvin Ridley's elite at this point in time anymore. I don't think Tony Pollard's elite. Spears is banged up, and I don't think he's elite. The rest of the supporting staff with hodgepodge of guys, none of those guys give me a lot of hope that this is going to be a good situation. I think unfortunately for Cam Ward, which we've seen it happen before in the past, where this has been a thing that a rookie quarterback comes in and elevates everybody around him. But I think they're putting Cam Ward in a situation here where he does have to come in and elevate everybody. It can't be Cam Ward coming in and having a good ecosystem to build, because I don't think that exists currently right here in Tennessee. So that's my only worry with Cam Ward, and I think because of that you could see his value decrease over the next 12 months. But that doesn't mean that he's a bad player. I just don't love the situation. So let's move on to the next team. The next team is going to be the Indianapolis Colts. Last year, they went 8-9, were second in the AFC South. This year, they're projected to win 7.5 games. That's a projected win total. No coaching changes, no offseason departures from this roster, but they added Tyler Warren, DJ Giddens, and Riley Leonard, plus Daniel Jones, who's also going to be in the mix as well on this roster. When I'm looking at the top 250 guys in ADP over on KTC, Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Warren, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, Anthony Richardson round out the top half of the team. Adonai Mitchell, DJ Giddens, Daniel Jones, and Alec Pierce, the guys in the second half of the roster. This definitely feels like a team that Vegas is a little bit higher on them than I think they should be. 7.5 projected wins. I don't think they're much better than the Titans, and the Titans are 5.5 wins. The supporting cast is fine, but I think the quarterback play is bad. Maybe the defense can support them. Maybe I'm wrong by saying I don't view them as much better than them, because they are a better team. I just also see this being a roster that could be a top 5 pick next year in the NFL draft. But I think that's more so just because I don't believe in the quarterback play. That said, this team does have some interesting options for Dynasty. Let's start with the wide receiver position. Josh Downs is the number 1 guy in this offense in ADP, followed by Pittman, Adonai, and Alec Pierce. How are we looking at this wide receiver room right now?
Well, we already know. Well, I don't know if I want to say we. I know you already know how I feel about Michael Pittman. I think, I'm not going to call him Michael Shitman, but
damn,
the way he treated me last season, I definitely was calling him that last season. Yeah. So I don't really even see him. He's rosterable, but like zero confidence is anything more than a flex player at this point. Josh Downs, I do think that Josh Downs has a lot of upside, and if they could just get their quarterback play figured out, man, we'll actually be able to see the value of guys like Josh Downs and Adonai Mitchell, because those are the two guys with good ceiling. Michael Pittman, I'm down on him for reasons that not just the quarterback, but also just his health. Like, he's always injured. The best ability is availability, and he's never available. So at least with Downs and Mitchell, I'm like, okay, if they get a good quarterback, then those guys are young enough to still be there, to still, like, you know, take a step forward if that happens. Alec Pierce, you know, whatever. He's rosterable, but
Best ball guy.
definitely not the guy from the first season where we were just like, okay. He's more like, you know, just a guy now. He's a Jag, not of Jacksonville, but just of general. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that group, man.
Fair. I'm kind of in a similar boat. I like Josh Downs as the best receiver in this offense now. Historically, I've been a Pittman guy, but you're right. The fall from grace, a little bit older now, injuries, bad quarterback play, Downs developing. Like, we've seen a switch, I think, over the last 12-ish months where we can confidently put Downs over Pittman. Also feels like Downs is just safer for fantasy too. It feels like no matter who the quarterback is, he still kind of gives us a decent floor. So that's kind of why I like him. Adonai is a player I was big on last year as like a second round rookie pick. Didn't really pan out. He's been having some good camp reports this year. He's intriguing to me for sure if you can buy him at a little bit of a cheaper cost. And then Pierce, I'm the same way. It's a best ball guy for me, and that's about it. But when I'm looking at this team right now, it's really just Downs and Adonai at the wide receiver position that I'm willing to invest in. I have Pittman, I think, on a roster, and he feels like dead weight. Like, I can't move him, and I don't love having him on the roster. And so he just feels like he's dead weight until we see him do something. And I don't know when we'll see that, but he just feels like dead weight at the moment in time. Let's talk about the quarterback position, because I think, you know, Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, it's an open competition. A-Rich hurt his pinky in the preseason game just the other day, went to the sideline, didn't play the rest of the day. They said he should be fine, should be able to throw the football again. But it's like, you're in a strong quarterback competition here where Daniel Jones is trying to come in here and take your job, and not to his fault, because I did see the picture of the pinky. Like, yeah, that shit fucking probably hurt. Like, I saw it was pointing the wrong way, but part of me saw that and was like, here we go again.
Yep.
Here we go again, because it feels like every single time you get banged up, you get whatever, you're running to the fucking sideline, Anthony. Like, why are we going to the sideline every damn game? And it's like, I don't know the guy personally. Obviously, this is me sitting from my chair, and I understand the optics of it. But you're fighting for your fucking job here, and you're running to the sideline. Like, do you give a fuck? Do you care? Like, I'm starting to question whether or not you even want to be the starting quarterback of this football team. And I'm starting to question whether or not you even have the mentality of a sense of urgency here. Like, the most blunt way I can say this, I think you're soft, and you're just running to the sideline every play. And again, I understand the optics. I'm sorry. It's probably way too harsh and too critical on Anthony Richardson, but it's like, dude, take the opportunity that you have here for this team throwing you out first team reps. They said it was dislocated. Pop that son of a bitch back in place and get your ass back out on the football field. Like, you're fighting for your job. When you show up to practice next
dirt
week,
on it.
like when you show up to practice next week, command that fucking huddle. Go make the right throws. Like, act like you have to get this job, bro. Because I really do believe that Daniel Jones is going to win this job. That's my thoughts. What do you think? Am I being way too critical here?
Nope. Because I feel the same exact way. Bro was making rap videos and shit. Like, I was feeling the same exact way. He just, I mean, I hate to sound like one of those old head, like college football, NFL old football guys, but I don't know if he loves football. I do not know if he loves football. So, and I don't even think that his ADP should be 117. I feel like he should be lower. I hate to say that. Sucks for him.
He should. Why is there a 60 plus range gap between Daniel Jones and A-Rich? I think it's a 50-50 shot. Both of them are the starter. It is legitimately a 50-50 shot. So why is one 60 spots higher?
Doesn't make sense, Andrew. Doesn't make sense.
I don't know. I feel bad because I'm like, damn, dude, I feel like I'm like shitting on the kid. And it's like, I don't want to do that, but it's like, that's just my thoughts. That's my raw, honest feelings when I'm watching him play. I'm like, bro, I just don't I don't think you got that dog in you. I don't think you care. Like, I just don't think you want to be the quarterback of this team bad enough. I don't. It just feels like and I think the worst part of it is like optically, I saw him run to the sideline and he put that little headpiece in so quickly and started smiling and messing around on the side. Did you want to be there the whole time? Did you want to be on the sideline that whole time? Like, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and shit on him anymore, but it's like, I'm starting to question whether or not he even gives a shit. And I shouldn't be feeling that way. And obviously, I'm not in the building. I'm not around the guy. This is just me watching on TV. It is what it is. But I wouldn't be surprised if people in the building kind of feel the same way a little bit. I know there were some questions about that last year when you had the whole, like, sub me out. I'm too tired to finish this drive. I'm just sub me out. Like, I know people were feeling some type of way about that last year. So that's my thoughts. I think Daniel Jones has a chance to win this job. And honestly, if Richardson misses any practices or things like that, like, Daniel Jones could be the front runner here sooner rather than later. When I'm looking at the other options, Jonathan Taylor is very desirable as a running back prospect. I like for our fantasy football teams, not as a prospect, but as a player for our fantasy football teams. I think top 10 is definitely where he should be at. They're going to run the football. No, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is, they're going to run the football. And do you feel any differently there?
No, I think he's perfectly placed where he is at running back 9.
And then Tyler Warren is the only other guy I wanted to talk about in depth. Giddens is a fine handcuff, by the way. But Warren at the tight end 4, he's very high. He was my tight end 1 in the class. I truly believe he is going to be the centerpiece of this Colts passing game as a rookie. I think he's going to be very, very involved early on. He's the asset outside of probably Jonathan Taylor that I want the most on this roster. I'm in on Warren as a rookie.
I mean, who's the other 3 tight ends ahead of him?
Bowers, McBride, and Kittle.
I don't know if I like him as the 4th tight end.
Okay, who would you put above him?
TJ Hawkinson, Sam Laporta.
Oh,
Kyle
you know what?
Pitt,
It's Laporta. Laporta's number 3, by the way.
George Kittle, Kyle Pitt.
Kyle Pitts?
No, I'm joking. Oh my God. I just wanted to trigger Andrew real quick, y'all.
I was gonna lose my fucking mind.
No, George Kittle. I'm not. I know you guys probably think I'm gonna put Colston Loveland ahead of him. No, I feel like honestly, Colston Loveland should probably be like right behind him.
I think he is. By the way, I think he's like number 5.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess it's fine. It's just small. I feel like honestly, I feel like a lot of this is an indictment on T.J. Hawkinson because I feel like T.J. Hawkinson should be viewed as disrespected. I feel like he should be viewed as like it's fine if you want to put obviously Bowers, McBride. They're like 1 and 2. If you want to put Laporta there, fine because his age. If you want to put Kittle there because of what we think he's going to produce, that's fine. But I usually have a problem if T.J. Hawkinson isn't in the conversation for the next tight end that you put on that list because it's not like he's not like older. Like I don't even want people think Mark Andrews is older than what he really is, but.
People act like Mark Andrews is like 35, like about to retire.
Yeah. Like so, I guess I mean at this point I'm taking T.J. Hawkinson over Mark Andrews though. So and I'm taking Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland over Mark Andrews too. So when I think of it like that, T.J. Hawkinson should 100% be in a conversation for tight end 5. So that means that if you want to look at tight end 6 for Warren, then that's fine. But tight end 4, I don't know if I'm ready to give him that just yet.
Fair enough. I think he's going to be a stud at the next level, but you know I've liked him for a while. Whether it's playing drafts or sweating pick'ems, there's no off season on Underdog, which means there's still plenty of ways to cash in big this summer. No matter the sport you're watching, Underdog has you covered, and all you have to do is pick higher or lower on your favorite athletes from whatever sport. Put them into a pick'em entry, watch the winning multiplier increase, click play, and win real cash. So what are you waiting for? Download Underdog and start playing today. Plus, when you use promo code LEAGUEFFB, Underdog will give you a new customer special, which is a free square for your first pick'em entry, and they will give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash, giving you the perfect head start to winning big on Underdog. So if you want to support our show and get in on some daily fantasy sports action, Click the link in our description to sign up for Underdog using code LEAGUEFFB. So thank you to our sponsors over at Underdog. And with that out of the way, let's get back into the action. Let's go to the next team. The next team is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let me say it properly, because people in the comments always get mad at how I say Jaguars. Because apparently I have the West Coast. Maybe it's the West Coast. Maybe it's the Utah in me. I don't know. But Jaguars is what people want me to say. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I say Jaguars. I guess it's wrong, is what they say. Let's go to them. Projected win total of 7.5 games. When I'm looking at last year for them, 4-13 was the record. Finished in 3rd place in the AFC South. Obviously, big changes across the board for the Jags this year. Liam Cohen brought in as the new head coach after that incredible year in Tampa Bay. Grant Udinsky is brought in as the offensive coordinator. He spent some time as the assistant offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach in Minnesota underneath Kevin O'Connell last year. So they bring in Liam Cohen and a guy from the Kevin O'Connell tree. Love to see that offensively. Offseason departures, they lose Mac Jones, they lose Christian Kirk, they lose Gabe Davis, they lose Evan Engram, but they add Travis Hunter in the NFL draft, Bashal Tutin, Dami Brown, and LaQuint Allen. So looking at the top 250 in ADP for the Jags, Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver 5, followed by Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, Bashal Tutin, Brenton Strange, and Dami Brown. I think the big talking point, honestly, with this team is the running back room at this point in time. I think a lot of people feel like it's very much an open competition. As you can see, the ADPs, all of these guys are very close to each other. How do you feel about the running back room of Etienne, Bigsby, Tutin?
To me, I feel like the dynasty community here. I think it's all up for grabs. Like, honestly, ETN and Bigsby did not like impress me at all last season. And now you got a new player in the game, Tutin. And I feel like it is up for grabs. And I feel like it should be up for grabs. None of these guys both had the opportunity to become the number one guy for the Jaguars. Not the Jaguars backfield. ETN had his opportunity, he was mid. Bigsby had his opportunity after a resurgent, he was mid. Now you got Tutin in there. So I don't have any issues where all of them are slotted like in terms of being like within firing range of each other. Because I truly do not know who's going to win that backfield, but I do kind of feel like they're all not like great options. But for value purposes, ETN probably is a good buy right now if he's been valued like that. Because, I mean, if you're going to take a shot on anyone in the backfield for this upcoming season, it is him. But in general, I don't feel great about it.
Yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, they're all kind of being valued as backups right now. There isn't anybody being valued as a starter. So I don't have an issue with anybody picking your guy and then going all in on that dude. For me this offseason, I have been investing in ETN. I think ETN's the guy that I would be the most confident in. But I'd probably rank it ETN, Tutin, Bigsby just for my own personal self. But I think it's definitely an open competition. But the one thing that I would take away from, and it's just one preseason game, ETN played pretty much every snap with Trevor Lawrence when Trevor Lawrence was on the football field in the preseason game. So that does kind of indicate to me a little bit that they're viewing ETN, at least right now, as the starter. So that would be my one thing that I could point to as like actual physical visual data to support my feeling of ETN. But it's very interesting. Scary enough, ETN's my third highest drafted running back in best ball drafts this summer. And that's coming after a year last year where I was also very heavily invested in ETN. So it's scary to do it again. But going back to the Jaguars thing, the same people that are mad at me about the Jaguars or have a problem with the Jaguars pronunciation are the same people that say Nevada. Those are the same people that say Nevada. That triggers me as well, so I get it. But why do people say Nevada, War? Why can't they say Nevada like it's supposed to be?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, why they say Nevada? That doesn't make sense to me. It's Nevada.
Jaguars, Nevada, Nevada. Get off my fucking case here. Let's go to the wide receivers. Travis Etienne. Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. Hunter, ADP of 37, wide receiver 16 already. How do you feel about Travis Hunter? He has been some of the most debated. He's probably one of the most debated prospects we've had in a long time, just because of the unicorn feel for him, the uniqueness of him playing both sides of the ball. Like, what do you think about that? And then also, I guess you can talk Dami Brown if you want to talk Dami Brown. If you don't, I don't blame you.
I don't even want to talk BTJ because I already know BTJ. Everybody knows BTJ is I think the key thing here is definitely Travis Hunter. And I'll repeat to you what I said in our group chat. I think Travis Hunter, honest, should be used situationally on both sides of the ball. And I think that's the best way to allow him to do what he's trying to do in a safe way for him and in a good way for the Jaguars. This thing with him playing all the snaps on both sides, this shit's not going to work. It's going to increase the opportunity for him to get hurt. He's going to, I don't want to use that term. That's an inappropriate term. He's going to burn himself out. He's going to burn himself out way before the end of the season. And then, connecting situation, he's going to burn all of us that drafted him. So I think that they definitely should use him situationally, but unfortunately, I don't think that's the plan. I think the plan is to let him legitimately go out there and try to be, you know, a stud cornerback and a stud wide receiver. But I'm telling you that right now, that if that happens, they can forget about that wide receiver 16 spot. It's not going to happen.
I hope for dynasty teams, they just say, fuck the cornerback position. Let's just make you play a full-time wide receiver. I hope that's the case for people. I've had my doubts about that throughout the process, but what do you take from Devontae Adams? I don't know if you saw what Devontae Adams was saying about Travis Hunter, but he's basically saying, like, same thing as you, like, that shit ain't gonna work. Like, you can't go out there and play wide receiver, and then after you're done playing wide receiver, go have to try and tackle Derrick Henry and go guard Jamar Chase and go guard XYZ, and then come back and play wide receiver. Like, it's just not possible. Adams was saying essentially just you are basically playing a game where the chance of injury is almost 100% anyways, and now you're just adding extra opportunities for you to go out there and get banged up.
The only thing I can think of is, like, if his plan is like, yeah, I'm going to play both sides of the ball and I'll make sure that my NFL career is only 5 years, then I'll be like, okay, you want a 5-year NFL career? Fine. But if you're going to do that, you should have let the fantasy people know we drafted you, that you're only going to play 5 years.
They don't give a shit about us. They shouldn't. But
yeah, I know. I'm just, it was tongue in cheek, but
I know.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna succeed at this, man. And I think I give it to maybe a few games into the season that he's gonna pick a side. Man, imagine if he decides to be a cornerback. That is gonna be devastating. I don't see why he would do that because it would be less money, but
yeah,
that would be devastating for fantasy managers if they just decide to play him at cornerback.
Catch touchdowns and make wide receiver money, and don't put yourself in positions where you have to tackle Saquon and Derrick Henry and shit like that. That's, who cares? Just run routes and catch touchdowns and make money. That's all I think you should do, Hunter. I don't think it's a big deal. I almost did Travis again, but I feel like you've been laughing because I've been calling everybody by their first name in all of these things. But, let's
to
talk
the sideline, Anthony.
yeah, like, and then what did I say in the last one? Michael. I'll believe it when I see it, Michael. But looking at Trevor Lawrence, do you believe in a step forward with Liam Cohen there here this year? Do you think he can take the jump or no?
Not necessarily.
You don't believe?
Not necessarily, but he's a true make or break season this year, because if you can't get it together under somebody whose specialty is, you know, working with quarterbacks and saying dumb shit like Duval, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, I mean, you're gonna have to stay on the sidelines with a clipboard, Trevor. So
yeah, let him know. I like Brenton Strange. I think he's interesting down here, but we can probably talk about him later unless you have strong opinions on him right now.
I don't know. I like his last name.
Strange guy, huh? But let's move on to the next one, I guess. We're going to go to the Houston Texans, which is the last team here in the division. Projected win total of 9.5 games. Last year, they went 10-7. First place in the AFC South. Lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional round of the playoffs. Bobby Slowick is out as the offensive coordinator. They have brought in Nick Caley, can't remember how to say his last name, but they brought in a new guy who spent some time underneath Sean McVay with the Rams. Offseason departures, they lose Stephon Diggs, Robert Woods. They bring in Jaden Higgins, rookie wide receiver out of Iowa, Jalen Knoll, rookie wide receiver out of Iowa, Christian Kirk, Woody Marks, and Nicholas Chubb from the Cleveland Browns. When I'm looking at the top 250, very extensive list, basically because of uncertainty at the wide receiver position. Nico Collins starts the list off at the top, followed by CJ Stroud, Jaden Higgins, Joe Mixon, Jalen Knoll, Tank Dell, Christian Kirk, Woody Marks, Nick Chubb, and Dalton Schultz. So looking at this list, I mean, I think the main conversation point, there's really three main conversations here. It's the wide receivers, it's CJ Stroud, and it's the running back position with Nick Chubb. Let's start at the wide receivers because there's so many of them. Obviously, Nico's been the guy there for, really has established himself as the number one guy there. And I think rightfully so as a top 10 dynasty wide receiver. I don't think there's really much to say about him other than I would like to see him stay healthy for an entire season, because if he does, he has top wide receiver 1 overall potential. Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel were brought in with Christian Kirk this offseason because of the departure of Diggs, because of a Tank Dell injury, but yet Tank Dell is still wide receiver 71. It's ADP of 175. How are we looking at this wide receiver room really here? Like, do you think Kirk is involved this year? Do you think Dell has a chance to come back and be a guy? Or is it really just as simple as Kirk and Dell are dead weight on the roster long term, and it's just Higgins and Noel?
I'll tell you one thing. All these things you're saying is undermined by the fact of something that's not listed on here. They
What is
don't
that?
have a fucking offensive line. And
Yeah.
all that shit, man, all that shit is interconnected. I don't know. The only player here is a wide receiver that I trust, whether that offensive line is shit or if it's good, is Nico Collins. I feel like Nico Collins is going to get his regardless. Now, Jaden Higgins, I'm pretty high on. I've gotten higher on him because you guys know I really value prospects once I get them on my team. Then I start to look into them even deeper. I like Higgins. It's funny. I like what they've done in the wide receiver room this offseason. And to answer your question, yeah, not giving a shit about Tank Dell or Christian Kirk at this point in time.
I think the Texans have done a good job recovering from some of the losses.
Yeah. Tank Dell, I'm not sure Tank Dell will ever play again. I'm not quite sure. He's had such a rough start, man. Like, got shot. Then it's like, yeah, feel bad for Tank Dell. Do not know why he's a top 50 draft pick. Like, top 150 almost is kind of insane to me, but I think there's just a lot of Tank Dell truthers still out there. Christian Kirk, don't know what the hell he has left. He's just a veteran guy. It's a veteran guy on the roster. Just a veteran guy. I don't really got much else for him. But the big guys here, obviously Nico Collins, we know what Nico Collins brings to the table, but I think the most interesting wide receivers in that group is definitely Higgins and Noel.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of with you. Nico, bona fide 1, no questions about it. Higgins, I think, can be the 2 on the other outside wide receiver slot. I think Christian Kirk is probably the short-term slot wide receiver until Jalen Noel takes the long-term wide receiver from that slot position. And unfortunately, I'm kind of with you. I don't have much faith in Tank Dell really being a big contributor much in the future. If you want to take a shot, sure, because he's virtually free, I feel like, in most leagues, but I don't have a lot of faith. I think the actions of the Texans going and getting 2 rookie wide receivers and signing another wide receiver tells you kind of what they think in building about what could happen with Tank Dell long term. That was a devastating injury. Looking at the running back position, Joe Mixon at RB34 with Nick Chubb and Woody Marks in here outside of the top 200. Joe Mixon's been dealing with a foot injury, an ankle injury, and there's a lot of question marks about him. Do you think either of these guys, Chubb or Woody, has a chance to be sneaky for fantasy this year, or do you believe that Joe Mixon will end up finding his way onto the football field and it'll just be Joe Mixon again?
Oh man, these players on this team names is wild, bro. When you say them together, when you say this together, these names is wild, bro.
Why? What did I say?
Bro, I'll tell you off camera. I don't even want to say it right now. This running back group is very fragile. It's very fragile. Joe Mixon, fragile. Nick Chubb, fragile. Woody Marks, don't know. Don't know. I don't know if Woody Marks is like Andrew will tell you better than I do. I don't know if Woody Marks, like, I know of him as a prospect, but I don't know if he's like if something happens to Chubb and Mixon, which is possible. I don't know if Woody Marks is necessarily the guy you want to like depend on in the backfield, like for a team that probably has the Lulus of being a Super Bowl contender, which is what the Texans are. They're delusional about being a Super Bowl contender. So,
I thought Marks was a decent prospect, not great. Can be a pass catcher out of the backfield here, but like, I don't think he's like an elite player by any means. Damian Pierce is still here too, by the way.
It's easy to forget about him after his forgettable season.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, I'm not in on. I kind of said it a while back that I've kind of been trying to get out of Joe Mixon because I don't love what we've been seeing, and I am very nervous about the foot injury continuing to linger at his age. Some of the efficiency metrics that we saw at the end of last year, it's not great. But then you look at the competition here of Chubb and Marks, and it's like they don't give me anything to be excited about. So I don't know. It's tough to tell. I guess I'll take Mixon if there's a very deep discount right now based off of bad news, but Marks would be the guy that I would take a shot on of the two guys down below. So that's kind of what I'd be looking at. What about CJ Stroud, man? QB 10, top 30 in ADP. You said bad O-line, but obviously they're trying to give him some weapons here. Do we get a bounce back year from CJ, or is it more of what we saw last year? Because we have two stories now for Stroud. You have rookie season and sophomore season. Which one is the real one?
Probably, honestly, and I hate to keep using this because I use this a lot with Bryce Young, which is the guy that he was drafted behind. Probably somewhere in between. Somewhere in between. I never thought that rookie season by CJ Stroud was going to be sustainable, just like I don't think, and you guys came if you want, just I don't think Jaden Daniels' rookie season is going to be sustainable. The truth is probably somewhere in between for CJ Stroud. Right now, we don't know what Jaden Daniels in between is. But here's my issue with CJ Stroud. He's a top 10 quarterback they got him as, but I don't understand what the fuck the Texans are doing. Like, you got all these nice young weapons on your offense in the wide receiver room, right? You add a little bit to the running back room, but then you decimate the offensive line. I don't get it. Like, you kind of cut off your nose to spite your face. I just don't get it. So now if CJ struggles again this season, now is going to be more evaluation that has to go into it, because now last season your scapegoat clearly was Bobby Slowick. He was your scapegoat, despite being one of the hottest coaching candidates along with Ben Johnson the season before that. Then last year goes to shit. Now it's like Bobby Slowick, get out. Now I think he's probably an assistant on some other team. And then now, like, you guys decimate the offensive line. And so now if CJ struggles again, then it's going to be like, oh, well, the offensive line was decimated. No shit, Sherlock, you decimated it. So, right. So I mean, I don't know, man, but I do think the truth is somewhere between his rookie season and his most recent season.
His KTC rank is sandwiched in a group where it's hard for me to see the upside in Stroud over the other players. Stroud versus Herbert, we've seen Herbert do this at a high level on multiple occasions. Like, it's just, he's the safer play. And I think his ceiling is just as high as Stroud's, if not higher. Bo Nix and CJ Stroud, it's tough for me not to go with Bo Nix and Sean Payton right now, and the rushing upside. And then Caleb Williams and Jordan Love, we project them to be very good offenses, solid quarterback. It's tough for me to look at Stroud, and both of Caleb Williams offers some rushing upside as well. Like, it's tough for me to look at Stroud and say, like, he's confidently better than all of those guys, or should be in the same conversation as those guys. Like, to be honest, I think it might make some people upset. I think Stroud needs to be more in the conversation with, like, Purdy right now. Probably a Purdy, probably a Kyler Murray. The only reason why we're putting Stroud that high is because of the youth in the rookie season. The rookie season came on such insane efficiency from a passing touchdown metric that is hard to replicate, and we saw that, variance go the other way in year two. You can put him over Kyler. I'll let you put him over Kyler pretty easily, I guess, if you want, just because of the age. But he's a tough evaluation for me.
If he's on your roster, are you trying to move off of him before it's determined whether or not his rookie season or his second season was the real deal?
Yeah, I mean, he's, like we just said, he's top 10 prices right now, and I don't believe he's a top 10 producer. Not that his dynasty ranking can't be top 10 again, but I don't think he's a top 10 producer in 2025. And if we're looking at range of outcomes and likely scenarios, and we're trying to project the future and trying to project how the market's going to react, if Stroud is closer to year 2 Stroud than he is year 1 Stroud, and now we look at this and say there's 2 years where he's done this and then 1 good year, we're going to start pointing the outlier season to be the good year. And people are going to react differently. And now CJ Stroud is going to fall in value. That's just what's going to happen if that is the case. If you believe believe as somebody that he's going to bounce back and be closer to rookie season this year, then the market will react in a positive way and he will bounce back up into top 5, 7-ish range again. So you have to determine what you think the range of outcomes are. I think it's more likely than not it is year 2 Stroud that is the closer product we get. He can improve upon it a little bit, but I don't think it's year 1 Stroud. So I think the market reacts a little bit more negatively. So if I can move out of Stroud, my process play, I said it in our last episode, process over players, right? Like trying to react to the market. If I could make a move here, and we're just looking at those KTC ranks as like markings, it's not the end all be all. I would move my CJ Stroud, who is QB 10 on keep trade cut, for Caleb Williams, who's the QB 11 on keep trade cut, even if it's just straight up 1 for 1. I'd try and get something thrown into my back pocket, like a second round pick or something like that. But even if it's just straight across the board, Stroud for Williams, I do it because I think the range of outcomes is more likely that Caleb improves and Stroud stays the same or worse. And so I would make that move because I think the market will react better to Caleb after this year.
That makes
if that makes sense.
Yeah. It does make sense.
And then I guess if you wanted to play the risky game, we're talking about getting a lot more thrown in, but like you want to try and do the move for McCarthy, a guy who we think can jump up rankings if he has a good year with Kevin O'Connell. You might be able to get a first thrown into your back pocket by going Stroud to McCarthy in a first. You might be able to do that. And I think there's a chance that they're either the same value next year or McCarthy has jumped him. Because all I want to do is pocket the draft capital value because I can use the draft capital later down the road for additional moves to improve my roster. But if I'm essentially having players who have the same range of outcomes and one of them is at a different price that's much cheaper, I'll play the variance game. That's kind of what I'll do. So, and that's more specifically like I'll be trying to do that in rebuilds and retools. If I'm contending, give me the guy who I think can score the most points. That's as simple as it can be. But in a rebuild or a retool, I'll play the variance game. I'd go from Stroud and down tier to JJ McCarthy and pocket some draft capital.
Yeah. It makes a ton of sense. Especially like you can make the argument that you may get an outcome where JJ McCarthy just outproduces them and you're getting additional draft capital. So yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea.
And there's a range of outcomes where McCarthy struggles and he doesn't improve next year. Like that, that's a range of outcomes that could happen. But if CJ Stroud struggles too, they could still be in the same spot next year. You know what I mean? Like it could be the same thing. So you just got to kind of try and predict the market there a little bit. So that is the 4 teams. Let's make our predictions for the division. I'll kick it off for us first. Breakouts, busts, and sleepers in the division. My breakout, Tyler Warren. I said I think that this whole offense is going to go through him. He was my top tight end in the class for really what it's worth. Every time I watch him, I just see George Kittle over and over and over and over again, and that's high praise. I think he's going to be phenomenal. The next rookie tight end to break out and get everybody, hot and bothered in Dynasty, that's Tyler Warren to me. I think he's going to have a really good year despite the quarterback play, and we saw some pieces of that in the preseason game that we saw where that first drive that he was there, that first couple plays, they were looking his way often. My bust is going to be Joe Mixon. The ankle injury, the bad offensive line, the efficiency metrics dropping last year in the back half of the season, lots of red flags for me, and somebody I want out of if he's on my Dynasty teams, and I don't see his value ever increasing again. This is a player that I think his value is just going to continue to fall over and over year after year, and I'm just going to get out. I know, it might feel like you're selling cheap right now. To be totally honest, I think if somebody came to me today on a team that is not a super strong contender, any other scenario, like if you're a super strong contender, you keep Joe Mixon and just ride the wheels off. But anything else, if somebody came to me and was like, hey, here's a second round pick and a handcuff running back, I'm considering it. That's just kind of where I'm at with Mixon. The sleeper pick for me is going to be Brenton Strange. Was trying to look for kind of a deeper guys outside of the top 150 or later. I think the offense can improve here with Liam Cohen. Strange is a player that I think showed flashes last year. I liked him. Unfortunately, didn't get to keep him on many of my Dynasty rosters due to lack of roster space, but I think he's a player that could take a step forward this year. Good sleeper candidate in this division. Other considerations for me as a sleeper would have been like Adonai and Diami Brown, the teammate of Brenton Strange, but I like Brenton Strange as my sleeper here at the tight end position. So let's go to you, War. Give me your predictions.
Yeah, my breakout is going to be Adonai Mitchell. Now, I feel like I said that last season too, but once again, to me, rookies can't be breakouts. He's no longer a rookie. I think that we're talking about terms of traits and star potential, I think that Adonai Mitchell in that wide receiver room is that guy. Even more so than Josh Downs. I think right now Josh Downs is more ahead of him, like in general. But I think that, with Adonai Mitchell, he's just a game breaker. Like, we were both very high on him coming out last season. And I think that he could do it. I think he could do it, man. Or how I used to say in the old videos, I think he could do it because he can do it. But no, man, it's hard. It's hard to project this, and of course, this is all based on Anthony Richardson not being the quarterback. Because I think we all know that, like, that ship has sailed. If Anthony Richardson's the quarterback, we can forget about this breakout candidate. We can forget about anything positive. I don't know if you're going to forget about Tyler Warren being your breakout candidate if Anthony Richardson's the quarterback. But so yeah, he's shaking his head. He's shaking his head, guys. He's all in. He's all in on Warren. But every receiver in that room, I can't see it if they're getting passes from Anthony Richardson. Bust. Okay. Ooh. Okay. I don't want to piss anybody off here, so I'm going to try to
feel, man. Say what you feel.
I mean, it's kind of more so similar to what I said earlier. If Travis Hunter commits to being a wide receiver, then I will not label him a bust. I think he will have a pretty good season as a wide receiver. If Travis Hunter tries to go all in on playing both sides of the ball, I don't know if he's going to make it the entire season. That's it. That's it. And another thing too is that this is all based on the Dynasty community's expectations. Expectations and performance are two different things. If you have Travis Hunter as like this top tier wide receiver, like a lot of the people in the Dynasty community do, they have him as like one of their top tier wide receivers. I think they need to temper the expectations here. He's going out there, he's trying something that's never been done. We have no clue. We have no data that suggests that it could be done. And we don't have data that says it can't be done either. But I just don't want to see you guys get your hearts broken. That's all, guys. I care about you. MFG cares about you. I don't want to see your hearts get broken. He's doing something unprecedented. We'll see, man. But you guys are super high on him, and I think that you guys' expectations should be in check. So while I don't think he's going to be the bust in the sense of the word that like people think, I do think he have a great career. I do think you guys are super high on somebody who's trying something that's never been done, and you should kind of like have that in the back of your minds when you're dealing with Travis. My sleeper is going to be Higgins. It's going to be Higgins. For some reason, I think just the opportunity is going to be there. Nico Collins, we already identified him as a complete stud. He's going to draw the defenses. So the one thing that we have to tackle in terms of like ideas is CJ Stroud behind that offensive line going to be able to throw the ball? Is he going to be able to do it? Because if that's the case, I think that Higgins is going to be the guy to get the ball. Like, it kind of contradicts what we're saying Stroud might be. I know you said he's going to be closer to year 2 Stroud, but if we get a CJ Stroud that's even 25% closer to that rookie season CJ Stroud, then I expect big things for Jaden Higgins. And I think we're going to get a CJ Stroud that's a little bit better than last season. And I think Higgins will be the beneficiary. I don't think Christian Kirk's a factor. Noel's not going to be a factor right away. Nico Collins is going to be drawing the defenses. This guy's the one that's going to have to benefit from it, and that's why he's my sleeper.
Fair enough. All right. That is it for the AFC South. So 4 more teams, finished and talked about. Halfway done at this point. Got the East and the West left.
Yes.
For the 2 directional divisions, I guess. If you guys are enjoying these, as always, show them some love. Hit the like button. Let us know in the comments down below what you think. What you think of our predictions, what you think of the players, what you think of the teams. Anybody you love in this division, let us know. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. If you're not subscribed already, go join our free Discord. And in that Discord, join our Pick'em showdown that we're doing this year. You can pick against me in war. Good news is next year when we launch our listener league, I'm going to do a listener redraft league. The winner of the Pick'em tournament this year will get an entry into the listener league, so you're going to be able to get in with us and play against us in an actual fantasy football league. Also, you are going to be able to potentially win some money. There's cash prizes for the top 3 teams. There's League FFB merch, so if you want some League FFB t-shirts or things like that, we got that covered for you for the top 3 teams. Lots of fun ways to do it. It's just $10 to play. So go do that if that sounds intriguing to you. And War, where can they find some of your content at if they want some additional content?
You can find my content about pro wrestling on the Crimson Mass Show. That's going to be our main channel, currently under construction. But please subscribe. And you can find us on Crimson Mass Pro Wrestling, where we do pro wrestling highlights. Subscribe, check us out.
Hell yeah. All right, that's all we have for you guys today. We will see you on the next episode. But until then, peace out.